to the VP Ultimate Grid for the third and final reverse grid race for the BNT V8s. Nick Ross and John Penny off the front row, although John Penny looking to start out of pit lane after that damage from race number 2, Andrew Anderson and David Hopper from row 2.
We then slip back to Simon Richards and William Bamber, and then the man to watch in this race, Timmy Edgell, next door to John Hepburn.
Yeah, good grid for Timmy Edgell after a troubled weekend. Scott McLaughlin alongside Eddie Bell out of positions 9 and 10. Martin Short and Paul Manuel line up out of 11 and 12.
Competition then ramps up here. Andy Booth, best of the Holden Commodores so far. Next door to Andy Knight, Jason Barguana, of course, Johnny McIntyre.
And we go back to the really successful guys for the weekend, Craig Baird and Kane Scott. But the one to watch, the new championship leader, Angus Fogg, from position 19. John Penny starting out of pit lane, a miraculous turnaround to salvage what was left of the Penny Homes Ford after that big race 2 crash. Nick Ross leading them down. There is Penny in pit lane.
That's what they call the race tape special.
Probably the best place to be, I reckon, down into turn number 1. Let's go racing race 3 for the BNT V8s from Timaru.
Oh, someone's on the outside, almost on the grass. It is on the grass. That's Andy Knight.
Andy Knight in the Century Batteries Fords. He's still on the grass. Has he broken something?
Not too sure. Paul Manuel on the grass on the inside as well. Eddie Bell taking a bit of a lunge.
Yeah, I think he got a big don't argue there from Tim Edgell in the Chester's Ford. Looking for the championship contenders. Here's Martin Short chasing down Jason Barguana.
Now these guys have to establish themselves. First 2 laps are so critical for the guys at the back to get through. After that, the task gets so much harder. Paul Manuel on the grass on the inside.
Oh, that's at about 200 kilometres now. Yeah. Andy Knight has recovered. He just ran right down the grass off the race start. Looking back behind Scott McLaughlin right on the rev limiter. Jason Barguana in behind. Martin Short behind him. Short and McLaughlin just had a bit of a dispute towards the end of race number 2.
Going back a bit, Johnny McIntyre passing inside of Craig Baird, but Nick Ross so far, Andrew Anderson, and given a bit of a love tap as well, saying, here I am, please get out of my way, make my job a bit easier.
It's going to be a long 22 laps if that's how they're going to be for the entire race.
Oh, look at this here, Barguana hung out a little bit dry 3 abreast. This will not work, we know that.
Round 3.
Paul Manuel's just sitting back saying, boys, what are you going to do? Because I want this position.
On board with Martin Short, under brakes down into 1. Tricky track conditions, still a lot of oil dry down there.
Eddie Bow's throwing a bit of dust up there.
I've got to say, Mark, a remarkably relatively clean opening lap or so for the finale here at Timaru.
Saying that, I didn't remember seeing the big dents on the side of Jason Barguana's car after race 2, of course, but yep. Martin Short here, in front of him, Andy Booth.
Inter-Islander Ford of Jason Barguana carrying a few battle scars down the left-hand side of the race car. There is Eddie Bell, the Independent Fisheries Ford. He gets touched up by Scotty McLaughlin.
Yeah, you can't help but think that maybe Eddie just backed out of a little bit because of the David Hopper car. Scott McLaughlin taking advantage on the inside.
Muscling his way by. Here's the bumper cam. Here's David Hopper.
We said in race 2, he's actually got a bit of mouse going to him now, how Scott McLaughlin, hasn't he? Showed a bit of spirit down the inside.
Inside a Hopper and behind Johnny Hepburn in the New Zealand Superbike Championship Commodore. Advertising the upcoming round here at Timaru in the next couple of weeks. There's Kane Scott, Angus Fogg and Andy Knight. Andy Knight's made up a lot of ground. Foggy's still at the back of this queue.
Yeah, Foggy's probably just waiting for this race to establish itself. You wouldn't want to wait too long, though, because Johnny McIntyre is certainly making inroads. Oh, David Hopper cross, drop kicked Eddie Bell right off the side of the track.
Eddie Bell, horrible run continues. Just had no luck. They're struggling with car speed. I've never seen Eddie just so down.
Nah, he's got a bit of soul searching to do, Eddie. I went and saw him as well, and I took one look at him and walked straight back out because I realised that it wasn't my time or place to be in that pit at that time.
Timmy Edgell down the inside of William Bamber for the 4th position.
Jamie, the big mover in here, Scott McLaughlin. He has already got himself up to 7th position. He's only a couple of places behind Timmy Edgell. Now, if he can get through these guys real quick, get on the back of Timmy Edgell and let Tim do all the hard work, he is going to be a contender. Yeah,
Tim Edgell's going to be pretty tough to beat, though. He's struggled with a little bit of car speed, hasn't had an awful lot of luck himself. McLaughlin muscling his way by Johnny Hepburn. He is on fire.
Barg's on the back of Hepburn. He's going to go for a run down the inside here. He doesn't do the outside first.
Little touch. Back of Hepburn's car just getting out of shape. Kane Scott looking to the inside of Craig Baird. Further back, McLaughlin. A little bit of sideways attitude down through 1. So Nick Ross leads from Andy Anderson. Simon Richards in 3rd. Timmy Edgell in 4th. On board with McLaughlin, who's in the 6th position.
He's going to look down the inside of young Willie here. I think he's going to pull this off. Look for this car to go to the left at any stage. right now.
There's McLaughlin down the inside of William Bamber. And a nice clean pass there from McLaughlin again, right on the rev limiter. Just brewed a couple of missed gear changes in the second race, which didn't help things.
Jason Bargwanna also trying to take advantage of Willie Bamber going a little bit wide there. Couldn't quite make the advantage stick, but into the run to the hairpin he did.
He's up the inside of Bamber. The Australian V8 supercar star. Here's the race lead, Nick Ross and Andy Anderson.
Now these two guys already have a 2.3 second advantage over Simon Richards. The guys battling for the championship, we're talking about the Kane Scott, the Angus Foggs and the Craig Beards, they will not make the way to the front of these guys here. So I think we're going to see quite possibly a first-time winner in the championship, either be Nick Ross or Andrew Anderson in this one.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see because we're only on lap, 6 of 22, the longest race of the weekend. It's nail-biting stuff. It's really setting the championship up. This is the halfway point. Andy Booth starting to make his way forward in the Rock FM Holden. He's had a solid weekend, Boothie.
Yeah, he's stayed out of trouble circulating and making a few gains in that Commodore, and they'll take a lot out of this weekend because this circuit here has a lot of similarities, of course, to the next round of the championship at Manfield. Tight and technical with a relatively short straight. So what they've gained, they'll keep working on and hopefully make some more advances towards the front of the field.
Simon Richards and Tim Edgell, Scott McLaughlin making gains on the race leaders, Willie Bamber and Johnny Hepburn. They're bottled up in front of Andy Booth. There's Bargwanna going through in the Inter-Islander Ford. So there's McIntyre. John McIntyre back in the 12th spot, Baird 13th, Scott 14th, Knight 15th, Fogg 16th. So Andy Knight has got ahead as Willie Bamber, looks up the rears and around goes the LG Ford. Out of the 7th position.
Bit of a shame, a sterling job. Now the battle up front, Nick Ross has just done a 109.5. Andrew Anderson exactly the same time. Timmy Edgell a 7.4. Here we go, William just locking up the tyres and away he went.
Yeah, William Bamber on the peak antifreeze replay. Lucky he didn't hit anything or anyone else hit him on the way through. You can just see this all compressing up, can't you?
You certainly can do. You know, these first three are certainly hard charges. Andrew Anderson going to have a look down the inside here. No, Nick Ross comes across and covers him. McLaughlin's certainly there. He's going to, it's going to be a good battle to see Scott McLaughlin and Timmy Edgell, both young fellas trying to make a mark for themselves.
Anderson's using all of the racetrack, kicking up dust on both sides of the circuit, chasing down Nick Ross, the Total Oils. CNR Construction Holden up against the ITM. Andrew Centre Holden.
Correct, Andrew's got to be careful here. He doesn't get too impatient. Or Nick Ross to fault a little bit and then Andrew and him get together because they will make a drive through, or one of them, if that does happen.
So Simon Richards back there in third in the Sayuro Drive Ford. Pair of Holdens lead. Pair of Fords. Scott McLaughlin next. Jason Bargwanna, Johnny Hepburn. He's doing a good job here, Johnny. His home track, of course, here at Timaru.
Staying out of trouble and circulating. He's got some pretty fast hard charges behind him and he's holding them out at this stage.
Short up into the top 10 in the zone forward. Timmy Edgell goes by Anderson and Richards, who went to the outside. Anderson mustn't have got a very good run out of 3.
No, he didn't. Now, what's Scott McLaughlin got for these guys? Right down the inside. He's going to take right in the back of Andrew Anderson, take the spot off Simon. They're going to tussle right here.
Oh, he's going to have to fight for that.
Yeah, he's going to fight, all right. Look at that. He's going to get both of them. Good move.
Anderson got just a tap in the back bumper from Richards.
Guana, he's going to get an education into NZV8s from Simon Richards and Andrew Anderson, no doubt.
So Tim Edgell through to second, Scott McLaughlin to third. Nick Ross still your race leader. Anderson, Bargwanna and Richards. So Bargwanna on a bit of a move. Lap 9 of 22. Nick Ross, Tim Edgell, Scott McLaughlin. A new aggressive Scott McLaughlin. John McIntyre up behind Martin Short. So that's 10th, Baird 11th, Scott 12th. And Angus Fogg has lost ground with these 3 cars. McIntyre to the inside. Gets a run up the inside of Martin Short, looking for the 9th position.
Just the horsepower drag race on the inside, the preferred line. I think advantage Johnny McIntyre. Can the Craig Beard car slot in behind him? Answer is no.
So John McIntyre moving his way forward. Craig Beard looking to the inside of Short to 5. So So Angus Fogg, the championship leader, 677. Craig Baird second, 657. Kane Scott third, 591. Forward with McIntyre. Sandwiched in between about 5 championships.
Collectively, probably right, 5 or 6 there. Now Timmy Edgell, the meat and the sandwich here between the two Commodores, Nick Ross and Scott McLaughlin.
Forward with McLaughlin looking very, very racy here. Timmy Edgell, of course, a former New Zealand Formula Ford champion.
Timmy Edgell's car's certainly not lacking for any drive in a straight line, that's for sure.
He's going to go down the inside to the race lead, Tim Edgell.
And Nick Ross just gives him a kiss on the way through for his efforts.
Well, if you're going to go past, I'll make you work for it. Oh, McLaughlin into the back of Ross.
1, 2. Now, so long as Nick Ross doesn't fall off the track,
he'll get away with it, but that was close.
Come under a bit of attention. Nick Ross is suffering here, Jamie. See the back of the car moving around. Nick's done a sterling.
Oh, Kane Scott. Angus Fogg's in there. The championship leader.
That's Martin Short there. Andy Knight to the side. Paul Miguel.
Oh, there must be oil down.
This is hard hit. That's, sorry, David Hopper in there. There has to be oil. You're right. Look at the damage to Kane Scott's car. My goodness. Angus Fogg, he's going to get going. Oh, another one, Eddie Bell.
Eddie Bell, what has happened down there?
Here. Okay, this race will be stopped. Okay, don't worry about the flames coming out Martin Short's car. That's just a bit of fuel burning from the carburation.
What has happened there at the halfway point of the third and final race? Angus Fogg in the middle of it, the championship leader. Third in the points, Kane Scott with 2 big hits.
Yeah, here we go. I can't help think we're going to get notifications somewhere. There's another car in there. No, sorry, no, got that wrong. It's one of the cars reversing now.
That's Martin Short.
Yeah.
He's getting back out. He's able to drive away. What has happened here?
I don't know, but these guys are coming onto the section right now.
Double waved yellows, Tim Edgell, Scott McLaughlin, Nick Ross, Andy Anderson.
Oh, no, they're joining them again. Oh, goodness. 3, what is going on
It's
here?
like an ice skating rink. There must be oil down there.
What is wrong? Come on, guys, put the flag out. Let's support this race. Let's gather our thoughts here. There's too many cars going in here, Jamie. They have to think about it. Those guys almost at crawling pace still falling off.
Unbelievable.
Think about, what I don't agree with this here, Jamie. There is officials on the side of the track. These guys are still crashing into them. It has to be something done. Okay, we've just been notified the safety car's coming out. 1 lap too late as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely, the safety car is now out. Well, drama here at Timaru. First and third in the championship involved. Scott McLaughlin, he's obviously got, I think, the tail end of it.
Look at his eyes. Something's not right here. He's just probably disbelief more than anything. Mind you, he did go charging in there.
Well, it was Martin Short and Kane Scott went off first.
Big hits, okay.
So that was joined by Angus Fogg. That's what we saw. That's when we came into it.
Andy Knight's here. The car's immediately in front of... Oh, that's a big hit from
David
Hopper.
Slams into the back of Kane Scott and Angus Fogg, doing more damage.
Now, all these guys are just passengers. For whatever's on the track that's causing this, through no fault of their own, they just can't stop the cars.
And it didn't stop from there. Eddie Bell.
Yeah.
Foggy drove away, but with all sorts of damage to the back of the LG Ford.
The cars immediately in front of him was Johnny McIntyre and Craig Baird. Maybe one of those cars has actually dropped a lot. Look at the damage to Kane Scott's car. Gosh.
Yeah, so Scott McLaughlin's gone in a lot later than that. Yes, the damage to the back of the Fujitsu Ford.
Wow, that's significant. Oh, Craig Baird's out as well. Maybe, just maybe, he actually had a failure of some kind because that car was still circulating after the accident. Maybe he's what dropped the oil.
Well, red flags out at Timaru. Absolute drama in the championship for the BNT V8s.
Yeah, look, a bit of smoke coming from back of that car. So, maybe engine, gearbox, whatever fell out of that car, certainly caused a lot of accidents afterwards.
First, second and third all involved in this drama at Timaru. Don't go away, we'll be back with more after this. Nick Ross leads them away with 9 laps left to go.
A somewhat depleted field, isn't it? Jason Bargwanna in second place. You just can't help but think this race is going to fall into his favour. Here's Boothie having a charge on the inside of John Hepburn. Look, the field's getting pretty thin now. Johnny McIntyre, he has to be sitting back. He went into this weekend after having an absolute shocker at Ruapuna, thinking, what do I need to do to get my championship back on course? There's the answer.
Well, he was about 130 points out of the championship lead, but more importantly for Angus Fogg, he's made it back out there. Off the red, the LG team have done a lot of work to patch back up that race car, who was also involved in it, as McIntyre to the inside of Simon Richards.
Simon will come over and contest this, but nothing will come of that. Angus Fogg, and this is why it's called a team sport. If you have a look at that LG car, those guys have thrown everything in it to get that car circulating again for a shot at the championship. It's got no rear wing on, so it's going to be very difficult for Angus to drive, no doubt about that. The ultimate team sport, guys, have a look at the LG car. That's the reason why. There is race tape everywhere. There's people lying everywhere getting this car turned around. That's why these guys will win the championship.
He's just in behind Andy Knight on the racetrack. No Craig Baird.
Go back to this battle here, Nick Ross. He knows how to be defensive. He knows how to make his car 2 car widths wide when he needs to be, and that's what we see now. He's positioning it exactly where he needs to. He's controlling the race. Paul Manuel got a little bit wide.
Timmy Edgill got a little bit out of shape. Johnny Hepburn in the 3rd position. So no Craig Baird, rear end failure causing that big crash with all the oil going down into turn 5. No Kane Scott, he was involved in an accident, heavy damage to the Fujitsu Ford. So 2nd and 3rd in the points, DNF here for race number 3. Angus Fogg is out there soldiering on, trying to salvage some points and minimise any loss to the likes of, well, really the next in the queue, 4th in the points, John McIntyre. Go back to Andy Knight and Andy Booth.
Yeah, there we see the back of Angus Fogg's car right there, and he'll be so tentative on the throttle with no rear downforce and no rear wing on it. The car will be very difficult to drive with no downforce.
Mark Short's made it back out there. He was one of the first cars to go in, along with Kane Scott. Nick Ross, can he hold on, chased by Jason Bargwanna, both looking for their first wins in the 10-11 championship. Johnny Hepburn in 3rd, Andy Booth 4th, John McIntyre now up into the 5th position.
Can't help but think Jason Bargwanna just may run out of patience here. Yeah, the tyres squealing from the cars under a bit of protest.
Amazing amount of debris left around the race circuit, off the racing line and on the racing line in some circumstances. Hard to believe. It was, what, just 1.5 litres of oil coming out the back of that diff in the Baird United video car.
Not a great deal more when we saw the results from that, but just catastrophic cars going left, right and centre. Johnny McIntyre putting a bit of pressure on our mate Andy Booth. We know Booth can be a hard charger at the best of times, and he'll make that car as wide as he can and as difficult as he can for Johnny McIntyre.
Well, McIntyre's certainly going to make some huge gains on Kane Scott. Not so much Craig Baird, but Angus Fogg is currently scored in the 10th position. He's actually in a better position than he was before the red flag.
As they say, something good always comes out of something bad, doesn't it? But look, we've seen Nick Ross in this position before in the reverse grid races. He's a hard charger, a little bit of debris off the back of his car. That probably won't come to the attention of the officials, or let's hope not.
So Ross leads Bargwanna. They're starting to sort of stack up on top of each other for the top 5. Booth a little bit sideways off the exit of 1. Simon Richards rides up over the curbs. Timmy Edgill is Andy Knight. Getting an inside run on Paul Manuel. What a race. I wouldn't have picked it. I mean, we haven't had the big crashes we've said, but Timaru was the first race last year with John McIntyre skating off in the wet conditions as he goes to the inside of Andy Booth. Two former champions side by side.
Yeah, advantage Johnny McIntyre, but you're right. It had all the... This is not over yet.
No, Boothie was going to have a look up the inside. No, it is over. McIntyre through to 4th.
But you're right, it had all that feelings, didn't it, Jamie? We mentioned at the beginning of the show, we thought the big one was going to happen. We were correct. We also mentioned that the championship can't be won, can be lost here. We're also correct in that.
Well, certainly a couple of the front runners affected by this 3rd race result here at Timaru. Inside the last 5 laps. May also become a timed race as we get close towards the end of the afternoon here in Timaru. Nick Ross, he's doing such a good job out the front because he's got Jason Bargwanna in behind him with an awful lot of V8 supercar experience, working on the back bumper of the Total Oils Holden.
The good thing about Nick Ross, he's not being defensive. He's not exactly holding Jason Bargwanna up. Jason's too far back to be putting any real pressure on. Nick just got to circulate. And he could be in the box seat here. John Hepburn is still holding out Johnny McIntyre. I'm saying that, Johnny's just going to do a dummy. And Andy Booth. Johnny Hepburn doing a fantastic job here.
Yeah, advertising the upcoming Castrol New Zealand Superbike Championships. All over New Zealand, coming up over the next few weeks. Just look at the debris around the race circuit, especially down there in 5 with all of that oil dry. On board with John McIntyre in 4th, chasing down John Hepburn. Tell you what, if they went ahead on a pair of superbikes, I know who'd win.
I'll be backing John Hepburn without a doubt. Now Johnny McIntyre just needs to get a clean run out of this corner. Last corner coming onto the front straight. Try to run down the inside in turn 1. Maybe just a little bit too far back. Barg's got a heck of a run going on Nick Ross right now. Anything come of it? No. Johnny McIntyre having a look as well. Nothing of that.
I can tell you that Angus Fogg's moved through to the 9th position. He's actually made a pass on Andy Anderson. Oh, Barks gets up into the back. That is definitely not over. Jason Bargwana wants a race win, but Nick Ross, he wants one as well. I can't see either of these two conceding to each other.
No, you can't. Nick Ross straight down to the inside of the right of the screen as we see it, being defensive, making Jason go around the outside.
McIntyre to the inside to 3rd. Gets the pass on John Hepburn. Bargwana, is he far enough? Alongside he does.
Yep, Nick Ross, this won't be over yet. Nick will come into the back of him. Johnny McIntyre is going to be in there as well. Andy Booth sandwiched there just behind John Hepburn.
A little bit of smoke trailing off the back of Booth's Holden. Was that a brake lock-up?
I think it was just a brake lock-up, Jamie.
On board with John McIntyre, 3rd. Bargwana now your race leader from Nick Ross. John McIntyre.
Jason Bargwana has been released from Nick Ross, so you see that advantage straight away. Probably 4 or 5 car lengths. Now, what's Johnny McIntyre going to do? Run down the inside? No, Nick will come across, defend that line.
Cruz looking on over the top of the pit wall. Tim Edger was trying to get a run.
You're right, Tim Edger's come part of this battle just behind.
He's to the outside of Simon Richards. Angus Fogg still in the 9th position. John McIntyre in 3rd. As Timmy Edgell goes off. The Chester's Ford, well, we were just watching that dispute between himself and Simon Richards. That's off the exit of 3.
It's gone a long way in as well, so he must have had a fair bit of car speed. It must have been on the exit of the corner. Johnny McIntyre starting to run out of patience with Nick Ross. He's looking left, right. He's probably pretty safe going one side to the other because John Hepburn's behind him. And I doubt John will do anything desperate to Johnny McIntyre.
So John McIntyre gets 60 points for 3rd. Angus Fogg, who is in the 9th position, would get 36. As we look at the peak antifreeze replay, oh, Andy Knight and Tim Edgell off the exit of 3. So it was Andy Knight and Timmy Edgell, not Simon Richards. We saw Richards and Edgell side by side out of here 2-3. Bargwana doing the job out in front inside the last couple of laps.
He is, but I thought Jason Bargwana just would have run away from this, and he hasn't. He's only pulled half a second in the last 2 laps.
Well, Angus Fogg is only going to lose 24 points to John McIntyre at the moment. And McIntyre's trying to work on Nick Ross for that 2nd position.
John Hepburn doing a fantastic job keeping out Andy Booth behind him.
So Angus Fogg will maintain the championship lead.
Here we go, Johnny Hepburn. He'll be smiling like Donny Osmond in there. He's had the race of his life, isn't he? He was actually saying before the start of this race that it's quite possibly the last round of the championship for him.
This might be, yeah.
If
this
that's
might
the
be
case,
the thing to turn him around and reinvigorate the former superbike racer McIntyre, Nick Ross. He'll take the last lap board this time out of 7 to 8. 1 more to go after this. John McIntyre, should he? I don't know if he's done enough for the round victory with Foggy. I think Foggy would still get the round win.
And the finishes now, and of course, we've only got a few corners to go. Angus Fogg, I put it on 186 from Johnny McIntyre and 175. Jason Bargwana quite possibly in 3rd if he continues to win a race. Here you go,
Andy
race
Booth
here.
To the inside of John Hepburn, looking for the 4th position. This should consolidate 5th overall for Boothie in the championship in his battle with Andy Knight on board with McIntyre. He's got an inside run on Ross. Not a lot of room down there.
Certainly not. He's going to come hard over. Look for the run going around the sweeper. No, Nick's got that. Nick's got that covered up as well. The next opportunity, the only opportunity left.
Up at the hairpin.
Correct, on the inside.
Jason Bargwanna, he's got a bit of a gap now, looking for his first ever BNT V8 win. Boothie shortens up McIntyre. That continued off the exit. That's actually taken the pressure off Nick Ross a little bit. But out of 7 to 8, it's going to be Jason Bargwanna. A drama and controversy-filled race. Bargwanna from Nick Ross, John McIntyre, Andy Booth, Johnny Hepburn 5th, Simon Richards in 6th. Well, what a conclusion to race 3 of the BNT V8s at Timaru. Jason Bargwanna, the Australian, taking his first ever BNT V8 victory from Nick Ross. John McIntyre back into championship contention. Andy Booth, John Hepburn, Simon Richards, Paul Manuel, Tim Edgell, Angus Fogg somehow salvages 9th place and maintains the championship lead.